Good morning and welcome to my garden. In the last few weeks, I have cleaned up the eastern side of the garden. I've weeded, I've planted, and I've put in new watering systems. And today I finished that task. I have connected it up to a hose and all the systems are connected up together. Contour 1 has its watering system here. You can see I've got a long piece coming down here so I can have flowers coming from my arbour. So the nectarines have started flowering and growing leaf since I started watering them. So they are appreciating the water. The main line runs from the first bed into the second and then onto the third. Now this is the end of the line at this stage. And it's also able to water my new grapevine that's just got its first new leaves on it for the season. But that's my new watering system all done, and it's so good to have it all connected. These drippers work best on low pressure, so having so many drippers on the one circuit is completely fine. It just means the pressure's low and it's better for the drippers, and it means that I can run it all at once. Eventually I'm going to hook them all up through here underneath the arbor and take it over here so the whole system's on one hose. Each garden bed will have its own tap, but it'll all be on one main line. So once I've got my hose attached, I just need to alter the taps for each bed to determine which one gets the water. Now, having cleaned up all the eastern side of the garden, I'm now moving through to the central part. This poor garden bed has been quite neglected. It's overgrown. The watering system doesn't actually reach everywhere it needs to. You can see that it's up here on the archway. I moved it out of the way so I could put the pickets and the arbor up, but the result is that this side, it's not getting proper water. Having it up like that, the water is going to be running down the pipe and away from the plants, so that's a bit of a problem. My citrus plants are growing a bit unruly. They need a bit of a prune. Got a couple of pineapples that have finished and have fallen over. Lots of weeds here, some very spiky weeds here amongst the tomatoes, and that's not going to make picking tomatoes very fun. Got some carrots here that have been for a long time, and I think they're starting to go to seed, so I'm going to leave them there to be seed carrots. They are red carrots, and I don't have many red carrots going to seed. This lime tree needs to be pruned to be the shape that I need it. Now, the chop and drop row is not tall. Generally, I chop it when it's my head height, but I want to tidy up the garden. Generally, you don't chop and drop plants when it's dry. They don't have enough water in the ground to get energy to grow back. So I typically wouldn't chop them back now in September when it's really dry. However, chopping these back will allow me to clean up the garden properly and redo the watering system. So that will give them a little bit of water in the ground. So I'm not terribly worried about that. Besides, there are seeding weeds along there that I'd like to get rid of. My first sweet peas are flowering. Very pretty purple. So this is the lime at the northern end of this garden bed. You can see how it's got some branches that are hanging down too low. That's going to get in the way of the vegetables and the pineapple. You can see there's a lot of vegetation here. Particularly, you can see some branches that are growing inwards back towards the heart of the tree, and some that are crossing over others that are going to cause problems further on in the journey of this tree. Around this side, I've already started pruning down some of the branches here, and you can see it's a lot more open. I think I will take this one out because it's coming up and back over the top of the plant. One of the priorities with pruning is not just which ones you take off, but where you take them off. So if I was to take this branch off here to stop it crossing, that wouldn't stop it growing here. It'd still be a problem. I'm trying to find an example to show you. This branch here, because it's going in there, I can just take it off here and here. But what I can also do is prune it back to here. This branch is going in the right trajectory. So if I take this off, that one will be encouraged to grow as the leader. Once again, this one's growing in towards the centre, so is this one. But where you prune a branch will determine which direction it grows. I could take it off right back here because this is where it starts growing inwards. However, this branch is heading off away from the tree. That's a good branch. We want to keep that one. This one is growing over the top towards the other branches. This one's going to go. We're going to leave it open. What else have we got? So this one's turned around, it's going back inside, so that one's going to go. When you open your tree up, it gets more light, it gets more air. The leaves can photosynthesize, the fruit can grow better. There's less moisture in the middle to cause fungus growth, which is important with many trees. Here's another example of a branch that's growing over and rubbing on this one. Now that one's a good one, it's going the right direction and it's got a lady beetle on it, so that can stay. But these branches here, that one's growing in and that one's rubbing on it, so those ones there will go. So this one's growing straight up and going in a bit, but its branch is going up and out from the middle of the canopy, so that one's okay, that one can stay. So that's the before shot. Actually, it's not quite before because I have pruned some branches off the back here. You can see it's got a rather straight back. I've allowed the branches that are growing up to continue, but most of the ones that are growing outwards, I've taken them off. I finished pruning this first lime tree. It's a lot taller than it was when I first got it. I just noticed something about the growth habit of this plant. You can see that it had 2 main trunks, and then this here has split and come over this way. When that branch was coming over here, I'm sure I felt like it was filling a gap and left it keep growing. And if I hadn't, it would have been a very lopsided tree. So sometimes side growing branches can actually fill a gap that is very useful. So just watch that when you're pruning. Be aware of where the branches are growing. Why are you chopping it off? This one too, it's going straight up here and then it seems to grow towards the middle. But it's actually growing quite straight. So I've chosen to leave that up. I missed this branch. This branch here should come off because it's going straight down, but it's in a gap. So that's not so bad. The branches that you leave on need to be fulfilling a purpose, and they need to not cause a problem for the other branches. You can see there's a lot of light getting into the center of that tree now. And the branches are all growing quite beautifully spaced. Looks like I knocked that one. It's a much nicer plant now and it's easier to manage and work around. Okay, this lime tree is a little bit different. I can see right at the start that it's got a branch that's coming up from really low. Now that branch is actually growing very close to my arbor. So as much as it sounds like I'm being brutal, I'm going to take that branch off completely. There's also shoots coming off it down low. I don't want to encourage low growth because that creates problems for fruit sitting on the ground. It creates problems for this vegetable garden that I have growing in front. So that one's going to go. This branch here is growing up into the center, crossing over branches. That one can go. This little one here can go. What else is going on here? Oh, we've got a mess here. So this branch coming from here is crossing over. So that one will go. When you're pruning, go slow. Prune one thing, step back and have another look, because you may not truly see how it is until you've pruned something. So this one's growing into the other branches, so that can come off, and this one's crossing. Okay. So this one here, I like the position of this branch, but this one's coming up and it's going to compete with this. So I'm actually going to take off this branch that's growing up and leave this one that's coming out. This one's growing up and in, they can go. I'm going to leave that one going up because I want to encourage a tree to grow up, not down. This one's crossing over a long way. This one can go. It's going to get in the road of this branch. You can see this one here is crossing. It's going to rub on that if it gets any stronger. Okay, yes, you can see there is a little fruit on that plant there. And I know many people who'd say, don't take it off, you'll lose the fruit. But we all know that we need a healthier tree to guarantee more fruit. And creating a tree that is open in the centre, with lots of airflow and sunlight getting to it, will create a healthier tree and will provide healthier fruit and more fruit. Also, the tree can grow more branches. Yes, there is one fruit on that branch, but there will be other branches with fruit on it, and the tree will just pump its energy into something else. That one's only small, so it's not really going to put us back much. So there's your before. Okay, the second lime tree is now pruned down. You can see I removed the large branch from the bottom of the plant that was coming up here and growing towards the trellis. And it doesn't actually look too bad. I thought it might look very empty, but it doesn't look too bad. It just looks like a nicely shaped tree now. I've discovered another reason to prune off the lower branches. When I was trying to weed around them, I lifted my hand up to retract with a handful of weeds, and I was soundly and firmly stabbed with a nice long thorn. Yeah, that really hurt. So keeping the ground clear under a plant makes it easier to maintain it and safer too. So there's that lime plant. And you can see it's still got some flowers on. I didn't chop them all off. And I'm grateful I have a second lime tree so that for all the flowers I cut off this one, there are still some on the other one. I've pruned down the chop and drop row, the vetiver and the arrowroot. I've pruned the citrus trees, my limes and my lemon. And I've started doing some weeding. There's still more weeding to go. Mostly what I have left to do here is to plant some new vegetables here down this end, to replant some pineapples at the back either side of that lemon tree. And these shallots are finished for the season. They're looking very tired. I think I'll pull them all up and transplant them somewhere else, renew the ground here, and then I can plant something here. It's looking so much more tidy. And I can even see that a couple of my pineapples are preparing to produce fruit.